Welcome to the Caithness Long Island Energy Center, operated by Siemens Energy Operation and Maintenance. This is a combined cycle facility with the Siemens innovative technology of one gas combustion turbine and one steam turbine arranged in a one-on-one configuration. This facility's primary fuel source is compressed natural gas with fuel oil as a backup source, and has the capability of producing an overall power output of 300 megawatts delivered to the power grid. The intention of this video is to inform you of safety considerations and precautions while visiting our facility. Our top priority here at Caithness Long Island Energy Center is to ensure that you are always safe. So over the next few minutes, we will be introducing you to hazards that you could potentially be exposed to and our requirements to mitigate them. Please make sure to pay close attention during this video, as it is for your safety. If you will need unescorted access as a visitor or contractor, we require that you view this video in its entirety. To verify that you understood the material presented, you will also be expected to complete the comprehension test at the end. At Caithness, we strive to maintain a safe and healthy work environment while providing quality service and performance to our customers. It should be understood that any and all personnel entering this facility will be assuming a role with responsibilities identified as safety critical. You are required to be in a fit state to carry out your duties at all times. If at any time plant management has reason to believe that you are not fit for duty and may compromise the safety of yourself or others, you will be asked to leave the site immediately. We require that while visiting or performing any work-related duties at our facility to refrain from possessing, using, or being under the influence of alcohol and/or any illegal substances. Explosives, weapons, and any illegal activity are also prohibited on site. Those who are performing work should always comply with regulatory health and safety requirements, as well as the content of this video. Violators may be removed from the site on a temporary or permanent basis. Please be advised that Siemens Energy does not issue warnings or place contractors on probation. A single violation may result in permanent expulsion from the facility. Upon arriving at the plant, buzz the control room to gain entry, then proceed directly to the parking area. During non-outage periods, Caithness Long Island Energy Center allows visitors to park vehicles in the parking lot south of the warehouse and on the outer curb of the perimeter roadway. Parking in front of the yellow-painted water drains is not permitted at any time. For those performing work, parking will be determined based on the number of personnel working on site at any given time. Do not block gates, fire hydrants, drains painted yellow, and abide by any applicable signs. If you are driving a vehicle on site, please recognize and follow the speed limit. At Caithness, the speed limit is 10 miles per hour at all times for all vehicles. Always keep the safety of yourself and those around you in mind. It is your responsibility not to cause any injury or damage while operating your vehicle, and vehicles that are leaking oil or any other fluids are not allowed on site. Once you have parked, proceed directly to the administrative building. If you are a visitor at our site, you are to sign in at the administration office, and remember, whenever leaving, it is a requirement to sign out. While performing work at our facility, all contractors are required to sign in at the control room located on the north end of the administration building upon arrival and sign out whenever leaving. In cases where there will be a large group of workers, we allow the crew supervisors to sign individuals in and out that are part of his crew. This will be further determined on a per-job basis. When accessing the control room, you must stay behind the barrier tape to avoid interfering with the control room operation. All personnel visiting our facility that have not watched this video in its entirety and completed the comprehension test must be accompanied by a plant employee at all times. Unescorted personnel are always required to advise the control room operator of their location on site, and they are not allowed to interfere with the control room operations at any time. Areas containing yellow caution tape are not to be entered without special authorization, and areas with red danger tape are not to be entered by anyone under any circumstances. For your safety, we require you to familiarize yourself with the evacuation procedures here at Caithness Long Island Energy Center.
Attention to the plant, attention all personnel. This is an evacuation, emergency evacuation.
If an alarm sounds, follow the instructions you hear over the PA system. In the event of an ammonia, chemical, or natural gas leak that would result in an evacuation of the plant, stop what you are doing and calmly walk to the muster point that is announced by the control room operator. Here you see a group evacuating to the southwest muster point. There is also a secondary muster point located at the northeast corner of the plant. Once at the muster location, a roll call will be done to account for all personnel. Do not leave until directed to do so, and in all cases, follow the instruction of the control room operator or emergency coordinator. Always check the windsock's direction. The small end points in the direction of wind flow. Do not proceed on a path that puts you downwind of the reported leak location. Here at Caithness, we strive for the highest quality of safety, and you must always report all incidents, including near misses, because we review all that occur in order to take corrective measures to avoid future accidents. In the event that you are witness to or experience an injury or emergency while on site, you should fill out a near-miss incident report, which is located in the control room, and report any and all incidents to your plant contact. We ask that you familiarize yourself with where the PA phones are located on site. When at our facility, both visitors and contractors are required to utilize all necessary personal protection equipment, otherwise referred to as PPE. If you are a visitor and you have signed in at the administration office, you can obtain all necessary PPE from your plant escort. We require as a minimum that you wear a hard hat, protective eyewear, leather shoes in good condition, and gloves to ensure your safety. All contractors coming on site must already have in their possession the minimal personal protection equipment. But unlike a visitor, you must have work boots with non-slip soles. All Siemens Energy personnel on site are required to wear safety-toed shoes. Athletic-style shoes are not permitted on site. Additional PPE, such as face shields, hearing protection, goggles, and respiratory protection may also be required. Please be sure to have the proper hearing protection at all times for when you are entering areas that require it. You can identify these areas by this sign. There are a number of locations that hearing protection can be obtained, for example, as you are exiting the control room. The proper PPE that you are required to wear depends on your work scope and location on site. If you are ever unsure what is required, please contact your assigned individual plant contact. And you must always wear your PPE when anywhere on site other than in the administrative or maintenance office areas. We would like to familiarize you with some of the following potential risks that you could be exposed to: rotating machinery, moving equipment, elevated work areas, high pressure and temperature fluids, high temperature surfaces, steam, flammable fluids, compressed air and gases, and high voltage electricity. There are also a number of potential risk areas that you need to be aware of while visiting or performing work at our facility. Some of these areas include, but are not limited to, the oil storage area, ammonia storage area, and the chemical storage areas. Always exercise extreme caution when anywhere on site in order to prevent injury to yourself or those around you. Please observe safety signs and placards at all times. While on site, we strictly prohibit smoking except in the designated area that is located on the east sidewalk between the fence line and the maintenance and administration buildings. However, for contractors performing work during an outage, the plant staff may allow additional approved break and smoking areas. The area must have official cigarette disposal cans, a fire extinguisher, and have boundaries designated. Remember, our facility is fueled by natural gas, which is highly flammable. So that you may easily identify natural gas pipelines on site, they have been painted yellow. Remember that when you arrive on site, You or your crew lead will be assigned a plant contact who is responsible for ensuring that all required permits have been completed to perform any work. Here at CLIEC, we do not encourage contractors to bring outside chemicals and products on site, though we do understand that in the power industry there are times when some amounts of products such as lubricants, cleaning solutions, and gasket removers are needed to perform work. In cases when you have a need to bring outside chemicals or products on site, we require that you inform us and provide a material safety data sheet, also referred to as MSDS, to the control room operator or the Siemens O&M site contact prior to bringing these products on site. You are always required to keep a copy of any MSDS sheet near your work area and have it readily available for inspection. All containers must be properly labeled so that they can be identified. This is especially important when using secondary containers. If a container is to be used to store something other than what it was originally intended to store, it is required that the container be properly labeled. The label needs to be visible and legible in order for all personnel to identify its contents. Secondary containers used or brought on site by a contractor must be removed by the contractor who used them. Disposal in plant trash containers is not allowed. As a contractor working at our facility, you are responsible to ensure all chemicals you bring on site are disposed of in compliance with all local, state, and federal regulations. When on site, pouring any type of chemical down drains or on the ground is strictly prohibited at all times. Before you are allowed to perform any work here at CLIEC, you must obtain a safety work permit. Meet with your Siemens contact so that our facility can know exactly where and what you will be working on, and then a safe work permit will be issued to you. Lockout/tagout permits are required whenever you will be working with a system that needs to be de-energized to perform the work. All equipment is considered energized until it has been isolated, tested, grounded if necessary, and locked out and tagged out. Only Siemens operation and maintenance personnel can isolate and operate plant equipment such as, but not limited to, valves, breakers, and switches. If your work request requires a lockout/tagout, it will only be issued after a thorough investigation of the work scope and the equipment needed. Once all the proper tags and/or locks are put into place for safe isolation, a physical walkthrough of the isolation boundaries is strongly encouraged by anyone that is working under this lockout/tagout permit. All members of the work crew must place a personal lock on the station lockbox or the satellite lockbox for the equipment that is having work performed on it and is locked out. Whenever you are welding, grinding, burning, brazing, cutting, or performing any type of work that will create a spark, you must acquire a hot work permit from your plant contact and the control room operator. It is required that a fire watch be assigned for the duration of and 30 minutes following the hot work. You are also required to have the appropriate type of fire extinguisher within easy reach. Remember that atmospheric testing must be performed and a permit renewal obtained each shift. A confined space permit requires atmospheric testing to be performed prior to each entry of the confined space work area. The confined space permit is required whenever you need access to a designated confined space or any space with limited or restricted means for entry or exit. Whenever you are performing work under a confined space permit, you are required to have a hole watch and a two-way radio that has continuous contact with the control room. In addition to following all site rules and procedures, you are required to obtain all of the proper work permits at our site. Contractors are also expected to follow all federal and state safe work guidelines, including OSHA, NFPA, and ANSI standards. If you will be performing work that is 4 feet or more above the ground, you are required to wear the proper fall protection, and 100% tie-off is always required. When using a ladder on site, it must be in good working condition, as well as have inspection stickers that can visibly be seen. All ladders must be made of a non-conductive material such as fiberglass or wood. You are required to have all extension ladders properly tied off at all times. If you use a ladder that is from our site, you must return it to the proper location after each use. All scaffolding must be constructed by a qualified technician. An inspection by a qualified individual must be performed on any and all scaffolding being used daily, and an inspection tag must be visible at all times. When working on scaffolding, you are required to control all materials and tools being used by the appropriate means. You must always inspect all power tools and extension cords for broken insulation, the condition of connections, and to make sure their overall working condition is good. For your safety, it is required to use a ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI, with any extension cord. When performing any work that calls for the use of portable electric power tools, it is required for them to be electrically grounded or double insulated at all times. No guard should be removed from any tool or machine except to perform scheduled maintenance. Operation of machines or tools that do not have the necessary guard protection in place is strictly prohibited. If you are a contractor that will be operating a crane on site, it is required that you conduct inspections on this equipment. At a minimum, an inspection should be conducted during post-assembly or erection, during each shift, monthly, annually, post-repair or adjustment, and post-modification. In order to perform any lifting or hoisting, you must use a tagline made of non-conductive material and have a lift plan. It is required that you always share any and all lift plans with your plant contact. In cases where you have identified your work zone to be in an area of power lines or any type of potential electrical hazard, you must have a dedicated spotter. Any individuals that will be operating a forklift are required to wear a seat belt at all times during operation and must be qualified prior to any use. Proper training and safety procedures also apply if you will be using other mobile or power equipment. This is to ensure the safety of yourself and others on site. When working on site, we ask that you practice good housekeeping to maintain the quality of our facility. Please be sure that when performing work, you do not block doorways, fire panels, and fire extinguishers. While working with extension cords and air lines, be sure to safely secure them by running them overhead and out of doorways, walkways, and driveways. Whenever connecting air hoses to one another or to an air supply source, use of a Chicago fitting is required. This includes the proper use of a whip check and pins. We ask that you practice the proper use of all site dumpsters. The proper removal of any and all hazardous waste or materials brought on site by contractors is required. When disposing of oily rags, place them in containers that are designated specifically for this purpose. And always make sure to clean up your work area at the conclusion of each shift. On behalf of Caithness Long Island Energy Center, we hope that the familiarization of our procedures and policies will facilitate you in having an enjoyable and safe work experience. And as always, if you have any questions or need assistance, please contact your assigned plant contact.